Good afternoon. Welcome to Match Day. I'm Vince. We got Ian. And this presentation is just going to be a little unique in that what we're going to do is just present kind of a newer model for coaching education, one that we hope that will be well received. But I'm going to turn it over to my boss and just kind of let him go. So,
thanks, Vince. So before we advance through the slide deck, thank you, by the way, for the small group of you that are here. You're actually, for what it's worth, getting a little bit of a privileged sneak peek, advanced viewing of something that Vince and I have been working on with some colleagues, which I think has some real positive to it. And you guys are very welcome while you're attending for this 15 minutes to give us feedback and ask questions and maybe push us a little bit. But in terms of Coach Ed, one of the things I think the last 3 months has shown us is that probably all of us have got a little bit better at getting our coaching education in online manner, to the point where now we're probably a bit sick of using Zoom or using different webinars. But we've all become, over the last 3 months, much more adept at learning in the electronic space. And then, of course, many of us have got better at presenting or sharing in the electronic space. So I do think the last 3 months could have a long-term lasting impact on how we deliver content and how people react to content. So I think that's been a positive of what we've been doing.
Yeah.
About 3 months ago, though, right around the time we got put into this situation, Vince and I were challenged a little bit to look at different ways of sharing content to coaches, and this is pre the pandemic. And so we have the e-learning courses. People come on, they sample them at their own comfort level, and they generate their reward at the end. And then, of course, we have the traditional box course, a residential that most of the audience here will have been on. When Vince and I looked at it, we felt that there was ways of potentially shifting the in-person experience, supporting it with online content, but not getting away from the in-person, the need to see people, be on the field, have grass under your feet. So we look specifically at the courses that our audience today will probably be familiar with, the National, the Advanced National, and the Premier. And then we will extrapolate out to the National Youth Diploma and the Advanced National Goalkeeper. So currently those awards are 1 week of residential, 40 hours, classroom, and then field. And of course, some of you will know we've taken the assignment to a post-course assignment with the submission of a video. And those courses remain, I think, most of people's favorites, right? Those of you that are full-time in the game and are like Vince and I, we love the residential setting. We love the social, we love breaking bread, but it's not always possible for people, time and money. So we also took those courses and broke them into more regionally based 2 weekend versions. So you still get the 40 hours, but probably most of the people are from your zip code and you're not staying over at night. So it's a long day, but you can go to work from Monday to Friday if you have a real job. So this is a third format. So it's still the National, Advanced National, and Premier, but this is the third format. And I will advance the screen by clicking the button. So the third format is very different because you can sign up whenever you want to the course. So previously you had to wait for a date and the course to come to your community or be put on in Florida. But now a coach could sign up whenever he or she wanted to. And there are essentially 4 phases. Once they sign up, they get given access to all of the lectures from the course they signed up for. And then they can go look at it as much as they want to. There'll be some interactive components. There'll be some feedback and reflection pieces they have to upload. Those PowerPoint presentations will be narrated, and you'll see Vince or myself or the other colleagues, Deb Raber, Paul Marco, James Wagenschutz, Brandon Silva, Steve Ryan, you'll see them on the screen talking to you. So now that hour lecture that you sat in a room with 30 people is about a 20, 25-minute lecture recorded, and you go back to as many times as you want. After you've gone through that process, and we've seen that you've completed it, you are invited to a number, the number is to be determined, of live lectures or presentations, which would be much more 8 to 9 people in a room with Vince, or 8 to 9 people in a room with Deb Raber, or whomever the instructor is. And so these would be required, and you must get to them. Now, obviously, there'd be multiple offerings. So if you couldn't make it on Monday at 1 o'clock, there might be a recording, but maybe you could come in on the Wednesday one. So you don't have to be with the cohort. You could be in different classrooms all the time with different people. And there will be tasks assigned to people to report back. At some point around the country, we will start to offer in-person weekends. And these could be 6 to 8 people, 8 to 10 people. The convention would be one of these opportunities. They could be based around MLS games or a high school game. They could be based around a state symposium. And so now a person that signs up in Washington and a person that signs up in Florida could go to different ones. They could be on the same course, but go to their one weekend in person at a different time. And then finally, phase 4 is the post-course assessment, which is the submission of a video of yourself coaching into a single platform, and you get written feedback. So potentially, if we get it going, a coach could get through this in a couple of weeks, or a coach could take, because of various circumstances, a couple of months. But basically, a course goes when I've got 8 people, Vince and I've got 8 people signed up. So just moving along real quick, because I appreciate you guys are here for time, and I got to we'll move this down here. So you access the pre-recorded webinars via a platform, an e-learning management system we have. The mini assignments, a lot of those will be create a PowerPoint slide, a couple of PowerPoint slides, and diagram a tactical situation. Very often there'll be 250 words of 250 words you'll appreciate is very little, so 250 to 500. What did you think of the lecture? So you've paid for the lecture. We hope you listen to it multiple times, and then we ask you to tell us what you thought and how it might change your coaching. So if it's principles of play or whatever it is. And then when we see that you have A, looked at all the videos, and B, have completed all the assignments, we then move you into the live space. The live space will be run by, the first one would probably be an intro from Vince and I. Multiple ones could be specialists. We've got 3 right now. We could do more. That's to be determined, so we're still working on that. And then the assignments could be now video report back. So you could put yourself in Zoom and give us a couple of slides like you've seen on some of the match days. And once you've gone through the 3 to 6 to 8, whatever it is live, now you're ready for it to be invited to an in-person. In-persons will be more challenging for us, right? So we need to get a number of people in and say, we're going to be in Philadelphia, and hopefully get 8 to 10 people. You can't really do it if you get 1. You could do it if you get 100, but you can absolutely do it if you get 6 or 8. And you might get to coach on the field, but you'll be coaching a club team. So it's now starting to help a little bit with the mass numbers of coaches in one place. And then finally, that's the one weekend. And these can be different. So you could be going to work in the evening. On the Friday, you do some classroom. On the Saturday morning, you go to a high school game, and then you have some tasks around the high school game. There's probably going to be less opportunity for hands-on coaching in these environments, unless we get club coaches or club. So, for example, if Ian McCallum was on the course, he could say, I'd like my club to host one of the in-person weekends, and I'll lay on some players. So we can have a different type of in-person experience. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter. And then finally, you video yourself, you upload it, and then we evaluate that. The iSport Analysis video platform allows you to write your notes onto your video and allows us to write notes back. So it's a very live, interactive thing. And then the person gets their diploma. So that is a 9-minute, 42-second thumbnail of the new version, new format of the National Advanced National and Premier, which we're hoping to make available to coaches around July 1. And Vince will talk a little bit about some of the content pieces that he has taken exclusive lead on with some really good presenters.
Thank you, Ian. So basically all the courses will have just different roles of coaching that we identified. I mean, obviously there are more, but these are 6 primary roles of coaching that we kind of identified. And but they'll be specific to the course and the course level. So for example, we're going to talk about a safe environment. What's that look like? That's the role of a coach, right? Because that should be their number one responsibility, is to make sure that their players are safe. Of play and so on. That's be part of the content. Ian's adding in the shaping the team for each national, advanced national, and premier. We're going to add it's called coaching through games. It's very similar to a TGFU approach. So again, just another way to train. But we're also, again, principles of play will be tied in. How do you design a tactical session and so on. Leading, we're going to talk about leading yourself, leading your player, and leading your team. I think the idea for now is leading self will be aligned with the national. Leading the player will be aligned with the advanced national, leading the team premier, but not sure yet. Ben Frakley, hopefully will be writing that content for us. And we're also going to tie in a thing called motivational interviewing, and which kind of ties into leading the player and leading the team. So it's kind of a newer concept, or a buzzword, if you will. Some of the other roles of coaching that we felt were very important, just, analyzing games, that will be done by Ian Donnelly, who will be on Thursday, actually. So he's going to talk about game analysis relative to the national, advanced national, and premier. And then we're going to talk about how do you manage games. Feedback, how do you give communication, verbal, right communication, nonverbal, and probably motivational interviewing will probably fit in that space, I would think, because it's how you communicate with players. And then the idea of just reflecting, right? So why it's important for you to grow, and go from there. So those are pretty much the 6 roles that we've identified. Each course will have that in there, but within those 6 roles will be some actually relatively new and fresh content that we haven't presented before. So I'm really excited for that.
So hopefully Rob and Casey and Ian are still on, because I'm going to answer these questions real quick. So I'm looking at Rob's question about, will the USSF and United Coaches Diplomas ever align again? I think the short answer is no. However, as you're aware, there's a new president at US Soccer, there's a new general secretary, there are some changes in their education department, and I think there is a greater respect now than there has been for a number of years for the content everybody's working, because of course many of our presenters, including myself and Vince, coach for the Federation. So whilst I don't think they will align, I think they will offer different types of content for different coaches. I also think if you're one of those people that cannot get on a B course, taking our courses does help your resume building to potentially get on a B. So I think we're in a better place, Rob, but I don't think we'll ever be back where we were before. Casey, yeah, there is only one phase which is in person with other candidates, and that would be the 3rd phase. So that would be my answer to Casey. And then, yes, Ian, we fully want to keep the residential option and the 2-weekend option. What we hope is that this would actually open more opportunities for coaches, because it's a different learning format and it's a lot, quote unquote, easier on your time, and you learn as you learn at your pace. So perhaps a person with maybe their first course, because they're a bit nervous, takes the national this way. They find they love the weekend, and they find out that you have these residentials, and then the advanced national premier. So from my perspective, the residential is still perhaps the best experience, because you simply live with another 100 coaches. However, this is a particularly unique learning experience, and the content you're seeing here will be blended into the residential setting. So that's my answer to Ian. Rob, Rob says we need more that talks to technology.
Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, we are going to have a module on technology that's going to be led up by Steve Ryan and Brandon Silva. So 2 tech type guys that they did Flipgrid earlier on in our match day. So just showing coaches just different tech tools. So we're really excited about that too. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, good response. So Joe has a question about splitting up the cost. It's really logistically very difficult for us, Joe. Obviously, a coach with financial hardship we would try to work with. And if a coach said they really only wanted access to the lecture pieces and didn't want to go through to the completion of a diploma, I'm sure we could work out some access points. And certainly people who've taken the courses before and have them could have access to the electronic stuff. There'd be no charge with that. So people like Ian McCallum, who I know is on the call, who's got his Premier, if he was interested in the content, it's not like we're making it secret, but we are keeping it locked and private for people that pay for it also all the way through. So it's not the best answer for you, Joe, but it gives you an idea. Casey, quick question about development periods. I think Vince and I are both of the mind that you should take at least a year to really absorb and practice the content, but we're not in the business of policing.
Right.
So if a person really wanted to be cute and the calendar worked out, yeah, you could take your National Advanced, National and Premier and probably do it in a calendar year. But if they were your coaches in your club or your assistant coaches, I'm sure you guys would be recommending maybe take the 3 of them over a 3-4 year period if you were taking the 3. Casey has a question. What will the content be different?
Oh.
No, because actually, Casey, great question. The work we are doing now is reforming and reviewing and refreshing the content that will be delivered in the 2 weekend and residential. So essentially, the curriculums will align a bit more, but it'll be consistent content. So if you went to the residential and you went to the or the blended, you'd basically get the same content, just differently delivered.
Yep.
Any difference? And then Rob has a question about the college diploma. So Rob, the college diploma and some of the other specialty ones, we're working on a format much like the DOC diploma, which is kind of a Friday night, a full Saturday, and then a half day Sunday, largely lecture based. So you are sitting on your butt, but we have some really good presenters who get you up and get you into interactive learning environments like Sarah McQuaid. With the sports performance one, there probably will have to be some participation in a classroom, a gym rather, or a field. But with the college one, it's a lot more theoretical. It's not a technical award. So the college coach diploma is not a technical award like the Premier.
Right. Can I?
Ian McCallum loves this. That's no surprise.
Thanks.
Joe really likes the new format. This will allow coaches to complete phases without impact. Absolutely, Joe. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So it wasn't a COVID response course, but it definitely allows the coach to maybe never have to leave their zip code if you're in a fairly good metropolitan area. And imagine now if your club, if you wanted to have 8 or 9 guys on your club or a neighboring club, just 8 or 9, and all you've got to do is give us a weekend. So now you sign them up and you pick your weekend, and they've got to get through all of this to match with your weekend, which they would be able to do. So the biggest impediment for us is the scheduling of the in-person, and this is where candidates and or clubs can run a nice little 9 person program.
Yeah.
And Ian has a question about mentors. You'd almost certainly, a candidate would see Vince and I in some sort of introduction, welcome, and that could be all, right? So we could say intro, National Advanced, National Premier, 20 minutes just to see us and get to see other people. When you go into the classroom specific to your course, you might meet Doug Williamson, or you might meet Janet Rayfield or Sue Ryan. And because the cohort in there is only 1 to 8, and you guys are familiar with how we work, you're almost certainly going to pick up email addresses and potential contacts and mentors. Release date, Ian, we're hoping that it will begin to be advertised and people can register by July 1. That is the hope.
Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we got a lot of work. But Again, just 8 or 9 people on the call, but this is why it's worth it for Vince and I, because I'd rather talk to 8 or 9 people that are interested than 100 people who are making a cup of tea and not paying attention. Quick question from Rob. At the club level, do you think that both United Soccer coaches and US Soccer will be respected? No. So, Rob, I'll be very clear with you. In my opinion, if you want to be at the level of coach full-time that Vince is, that I am, in my opinion, if you're young enough and that's where you want to be, you should have the highest badges or the appropriate badges within the sovereign federation, Scottish Football Association, English FA, KNVB, the federation. That is not an endorsement necessarily of the content, necessarily, but it's, I think, as a professional in the game, wherever you live in the world, you should be connected to the main federation. I think we offer some really superior educational opportunities that will make a coach better. So I took my A license and then I took my NSCA awards. And both have had great value to my career.
Yep.
What has had better value to my coaching? The National Youth License, which was USYS. So there you go.
Which, by the way, we're going to model this too, right? We're going to kind of have the same idea, same offering for the National Youth as well.
Yeah. And Andrew, no, there wouldn't really be minimum maximums, right? My biggest fear initially is people are going to be coming to me and saying, when can I go to 2? When can I go to 3? When can I go to 2? When can I go to 3? And we won't be ready initially. But of course, when we can really start to roll it is when we've got, 50, 60 people in the system, and we can start saying, okay, there's going to be this date in Chicago. How many of you would like to make it? 10 or 12 people say they'd like to make it. And then they speed up their access to phase 1 and 2. So there won't be, we won't be putting a temporal gun to anybody's head. We won't be doing that. A temporal gun.
Ooh, well done. College coach diploma, just going back to Rob. So yeah, what Ian said, a weekend. We actually had one scheduled here for Indianapolis. I think we had 30 signed up, or 26, 28, something like that. And then COVID hit. The idea was that we were going to put it around a game too, a spring game, right? So coaches can analyze and all that. So, yeah, that's the idea with the college coach diploma and the sports performance diploma. We were going to have in Houston, but when COVID hit, we didn't even bother continue with the registrations because we knew we were going to cancel anyway. But hopefully we can get it up.
I'm going to take Casey's question and then we'll shut it. But any of you guys can email Vince and I, obviously. The other thing is, because this is our pretty loyal crew, Casey, Andrew, Rob, Ian, if you guys want to be on match day sometime and you feel like you've got a story to tell, not the Ian Mulliner one, but the real serious ones, please feel free. So Casey's got his D. Casey, if you can quickly type in, when did you get your D? Put a year on it for me. But if you have your D, I would tend to suggest the advanced national would be the right place for you within our structure. And the reason I say that is that you've been given a lot of the fundamentals in the D that I think would be somewhat redundant in the national. I think you'd love the national because I think it's great, but I think you probably want to keep moving because of time and money.
Yeah, she also says that I'm sorry.
It's a he. It's a he. Casey's a he.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to saying she, he anymore. I'm trying to. Anyway, Casey, you work with 9 to 11-year-olds. The national youth would definitely be a benefit.
Yeah.
It was the best course I ever took. It really changed my life.
I would say this, Casey, the interesting thing, and I know there's guys on the call, the national youth is a high-level license or award, but people think because it's the little guys, it's sort of silly. It talks to you about how to coach people and how to understand developmentally appropriateness and all kinds of pedagogic ideas. For me, it is potentially the most important course, regardless of who you coach. So huge fan of the National Youth Diploma, National Youth License, National Youth Coaching Certificate. It's check course. But I think anybody that's on the call, and certainly Vince and I, it's the most powerful award I've taken in the States. no doubt. Better than any of my federation awards or better than any of my NSCA awards.
Yep.
The best one I ever took was the National Youth License under Tom Fleck.
Yep.
Okay, you guys are great. We Vince and I, you got a number on this, Vince? 100 yet, or where are we at?
I think we're at 90, 95, 96.
Yeah. So we had one this morning with a 14-year-old woman that does podcasts, and only 3 people showed up, which is hugely disappointing. We've had ones with 50, 60 people. We've had them on YouTube that have gone triple digits, and we've got others like the Yeagley one that I highly recommend you watch. Todd and his dad, Jerry, that needs to get pickup because there's some good content there. So we are very grateful to you guys. And that's why we'll keep doing this even after COVID, probably a slightly less frequent basis. But, you know, it's maybe we'll get you all on, Andrew. Maybe we'll do it by Zoom and get everybody in the room, at least the 8 of you. So, yeah. So anyway, Vince, another good day of work. We get a day off tomorrow from this.
Yes.
Really good the rest of the week, though, just to let you know. No problem, Rob, leaving. Ian Donnelly from Scotland about performance analysis. Jay Entlick, all things college soccer.
Bubba.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, his nickname's Bubba, but you'll know why when you listen.
And then Casey, this is my cat. On Friday, the 11 o'clock show is Dr. Ron Quinn and Dr. Dave Carr, who basically wrote the National Youth License and are continually rewriting it. So great value.
Yeah, I mean, Casey, if you want a preview of the National Youth, that might be one to tune into or at least watch later. So, yeah.
And I mean, if you can't see them, just look at them on the recording because you know the quality of them, you know how they go. So very happy to be watched on the recorded space too. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll hopefully see a bunch of you Thursday, Friday. Be safe. Thanks, Vince.
Thanks, boss.